You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
What up? This is the Fourcast. Don't worry about being. I know you see him, but he's in the city, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So, matter of fact, you may want to close the blinds over there because we may see something we don't need to see.
Hey, I'm on the 20th floor. Sorry about that.
Ooh, yeah, some damage done on the 20th floor.
Yeah.
I leave the blinds wide open when I'm on 20. You feel me, AJ?
You gotta get your phone out for that scumbag zoom. You gotta zoom in.
Again, welcome to another episode of the Fourcast where we review movies in a way that only we can. Sometimes it's not about the movie. Sometimes it's about the conversation. In fact, most of the time it's about the conversation. So again, we'll get into the movie, but this ain't your dad, it's Siskel and Eve by any stretch of the imagination. So if that's what you come for, you come to the wrong place. And also, let me just go ahead and address the potential of Man Talk Mondays and their audience coming on here because I stepped on a few toes on Man Talk Mondays today from the Peanut Gallery, and I told them I wanted all the smoke. I was just playing. I was just playing. I got a couple of comments already. If you are on Facebook, please allow Restream to display your name. So make sure you click on the link that is there for Facebook to allow Restream to publish your name and whatnot so we can give proper credit for your comments, or we can clown you if your comments are silly. We got Raider Kev in the building. What up, fam? Can't chat, but listening. Pray everyone is blessed. Yes, sir. Good to hear from you, Raider Kev. Again, as you see, Ben is in Vegas right now, and his internet connection is in and out. So I'll be running the show today as best as possible. And we got a special guest host, radio legend, radio veteran of over 40 years, Houston's own AJ Jones, the pal himself. What up, man? Say what up to the people.
What up to the people, man? Hey, listen, I checked my bank account. It don't have nothing with that radio legend and all that kind of stuff in it, man. I need to reflect all of that, Doc. All of that.
It don't have that.
You don't have that.
Maybe it's a different bank account. How many you got? Maybe you need to check the other one.
I had to hush on that.
Yes,
got
sir.
some offshore accounts. You can't tell everything.
Yes, sir. K-Rap, what's up with it, man? What's going on with you besides sleeping?
That's all it. That's it.
That's it, man.
Now. I'm ready now.
All right. Ain't nothing what's going on in your world, man. Anything we need to know about? Your probation officer, y'all still cool and everything? Ain't nothing wrong with it?
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
All right, how many more days we got?
5 months.
Okay.
Light work.
Mayhem. How life been treating you, man?
Man, it's been good. Man. It's had this little break, and we're coming back with the 13th, and this is my second time actually watching it. So
yeah, mine too.
It's some crazy stuff there. But other than that, life's been good, man. My family's been keeping me in the kitchen with this KitchenAid stand mixer, though, man.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. What's been on the menu lately?
Well, so for the 4th, I actually made for the first time. I made apple chicken sausage
So I made that with the mixer. I had my casings, and then I made some
All right.
some homemade brats. I actually did a 4-blend burger. So it was ribeye, short ribs, brisket, and I think it was sirloin. I had it in ground chuck. So I made some steak burgers, and
Okay.
then I made some chocolate chip cookies for my daughter. She's been asking me, so I've been a little busy
Ooh,
in the kitchen a little bit.
My favorite dessert.
I've been a little
Period.
busy.
Chocolate chip cookies with some pecans in it. Well,
Yeah.
as far as the sausage goes and the stuffing, the only sausage stuffing I'm doing is 1971 African Negro. You hear me?
Hey.
Ladies, holla at me.
Hey, you heard him, ladies. MSG, baby. MSG.
Oh my God.
Why we ain't syndicated, AJ? We talk too much trash.
Yes, sir.
All right. Looks like we lost Ben. All right, so let's get into some of our initial thoughts on this 13th. And we're gonna start with you, Mayhem, and let us know what your initial thoughts were.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts, it kind of put to rest a lot of things that I see in comments and social media, but it just amazed me watching it the second time how this has become a racketeering thing of bodies, pretty much. It is a thing of, moving the system around to work for them when they need to. And when I mean by them, it's pretty much the puppets and the politicians behind the scenes that are openly, shaking hands with these private investors that are, establishing these penitentiaries and building maximum security penitentiaries and adding on to the older ones and modifying them, and how they, smaller, smaller little thing is such as like, well, when I was growing up, the war on drugs, that was a big thing. You tried to incorporate Mr. T with Nancy Reagan to make it look like, oh, hey, we good for the community. We look who we got. We found a Negro for you guys, So it's one of those things where it was just like, you still bamboozling people. You've turned the 13th Amendment into we're going to abolish slavery, but then we're still not really going to treat you like the human that you are. But one slip up, we will put you back into slavery technically, and put you in these fields in Alabama and pick cotton and clean up the side of the roads and watch over you with a shotgun and stuff like that. So it's just like one of those things where you've literally taken this entire incarceration thing and you've made it pretty much it's a racketeering game with bodies, though. To me, it's like,
ladies, that JCPenney house dress you wearing around, inmates. So that, baby.
Yeah, pretty much.
You hear me?
Pretty much.
And what's fascinating to me also, you talked about those prisons, there are world-class facilities. You see the aerial view of some of them, man, and how futuristic some of them look, and how the compounds are put together and stuff, man, look like something from outer space.
Right.
AJ, initial thoughts, sir.
Man, I just go back to the fact that the Constitution wasn't written for us. When that was written, we were already slaves.
Right.
And the folks that say that the Civil War was about economics, they're right. It ain't the whole story, they're right.
100.
The majority of the money that they were making in the South was off of us.
Right.
Off of our free labor. So when things changed, when slavery changed, guess what? They could not take that L.
Right.
So they just found another way to write it in, make it legal.
Right.
And bruh, we still fighting that battle now. I don't want to go too fast and too deep, but think about it. The amendments aren't for white men. The amendments were for women. The amendments were for us, and not in a good way.
Right.
What has a white man ever had to protest? So the right to protest wasn't for them.
Right.
And freedom of speech is so that they can talk to us any kind of way and not have to suffer any penalties for it.
Right.
The 13th Amendment was not for them. That was for us. Wow. So that they can keep us in the place where they want us so they can make this right here, brother.
And real quick, kind of like what Mr. Jones is saying, it was one of those, man, we still upset that we don't own y'all. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was an L they were never going to take. They were never going to take the L. They are still trying to find out how to bring it back to where they can get the most out of us for the least from us. And if we want to deny it, if we want to be appeasers, if we want to be kumbaya, you can do that, but you're going to be missing the point. There is a battle for your black skin.
Oh,
not in a good way. And they have legalized that. They have, what do they talk about? Codifying Roe versus Wade? Damn, Roe versus Wade right now, they've codified slavery.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Smoking gun right there.
We 10 minutes in, we are throwing haymakers already. Hey, I know what Mike Tyson and Ali and them used to do. They used to spend the first round just feeling you out. We coming like old Mike Tyson and trying to knock you out. And before I get to H-Rap, because look here, I know he over there sees that he like putting me in the game, coach. I'm finna put him in, but before I do, because I know I'm gonna go in, let me just get some of these comments out of the way. We got Keisha Walker in the building. Say good evening, guys.
Hey, Keisha.
And you got something special you want to say to anybody on the panel, ma'am? And then we got Anthony hands down in the building. He says, "What's good, fellas?" We got Rucker Park in the building. Say hello, gentlemen and chat room participants. We got Anthony Lansdowne. He said, "Damn, that's what you call that steak burger." We got the Blue Streak Freak in the building. Theodora Harper. What's going on, sweetheart?
Yeah.
And she checked on us too. Let me just say how sweet and how much family Theodora Harper is. She just not H-Rap family. She all our family. And when we not on, she's shooting them messages saying, "Hey, y'all good? I don't see y'all on. Everything all right." So we appreciate that. Yeah. We got Naisha Bunkley in the building. Say good evening, everyone. That can't be one of H-Rap friends because her name too new. Naisha, H-Rap. See, let me explain something to you, AJ. Let me explain something to you, AJ. Anytime you see an old name in here like Theodis or Theodora or Nathaniel or something like that, H-Rap invited her. If you see a new name, it's probably BJ's son, friend or somebody like that. It can't be nothing.
Actually, I've known her longer than I've known her.
You didn't say birthday.
CJ.
What's up,
CJ? They got the same birthday.
Good, fella? CJ will be in Houston soon for his fight, and I am trying to get the details so I can be there to support him if I can. So,
wait, hold on. Let me find out. Y'all come to Houston and the brother don't know.
Oh no, you're gonna know. That's why I'm just trying to get the details. CJ, I think we're only 3 weeks out, and he hasn't given details yet, so he need to make it happen. Plus, I got some unfinished business in Houston anyway.
What's her name? What is her name?
Brown Records in the building. What's going on, fellas? In chat room, peace and love to y'all. Yeah, Ben's still in Vegas. He's been trying to get on, but
what does H-Rap do?
Let me see. Ben, you want me to pop you on? Nod your head. Okay.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
I was waiting for that.
Well, I couldn't tell.
Look at that.
What was happening is kept making the noise as if you were there, but your picture didn't show up. So
okay.
I don't know what was
happening. Put that comment up there.
All right. Naisha said, A-Trap is my people. Okay, wait a minute. He said, put the comment up there. Let me get to it. Maybe I ain't got to it yet.
That's it.
Oh, that one. Okay.
That's what he wanted.
All right, Naisha. All right. I don't know what happened. You must change your name.
That's a nickname.
Because you're the newest. Yeah, you're the newest named friend A-Trap guy. Blue Street Freak said, "Hey, Theodora." Hey, Ben. All right, A-Trap, on you, man. Initial thoughts on 13.
Just one of the few things. This is one of the few documentaries like this that have pissed me off. I watched it when it came out in 2016, but I kind of like blew through it like, but I sat down and watched it this time, and it just basically showed you the hatred that the United States of America has for our people. When you talk about the 13th Amendment, actually for the sisters, this can help y'all. 13th Amendment might save us period. Like it got that but clause. Slavery is illegal unless, but if you break the law. But if you read it, if you read the actual amendment, it states it actually helps us. You cannot forcibly make somebody work without pay. And for the women, it says you cannot force someone to have a baby for your profit. So this may be something that the sisters from Roe versus Wade can use against the United States, against the Supreme Court, because how you gonna force me to have a baby and I don't want one? So this might help them. But besides that, this is the precipice of shit. Let me see. I'm 52. About at least 75% of the arguments I've had over the last 35 years. I get so sick of people saying, "Oh, see, you have to look at it like this and you have to look at it like that." This documentary said, "Nah, they don't like your ass." And I've actually reprogrammed myself. It's going to be kind of controversial. And I need people to hear me and listen, not just hear the words. Going forward, I'm not going to like people who identify as white, because white isn't a thing. When you're in Europe, you don't identify yourself as a Black American. They say, "Where you from?" You say the United States. They say, "Oh, you're an American." This is the only place you identify yourself with a color. White is a weapon in the United States of America. Malcolm X, when he was at Mecca, they misquote him all the time when he says, I made salat next to white Muslims. But he goes on to say, "I made salat next to Muslims who happen to be white." When you lead with white, I'm gonna take that as a weapon, unless you're a person who's not unaware of what I'm talking about. I have a conversation with you, and when I have a conversation with you, if you continue to identify yourself as white, I'm gonna think you're gonna use that whiteness as a weapon, and I'm gonna take a step back from you. I don't have an issue with anybody from any culture. I understand that we are a tribal society, and everybody's proud of their tribe. But white ain't a tribe. White is a weapon in the United States of America, and this put it on display. You even had a gentleman. I wrote his name down. You know, I rarely take notes when I do this.
Yeah.
I usually do this
I did too.
from just talking. Lee Atwater. Actually, his name is Grover Norquist. Grover Norquist is the problem with what's going on in the United States of America today. He is the quintessential Fox guest who perpetrates lies and tries to pass them off as facts. So he's a prevaricator and is provocative, and he entices people to believe in lies. And this thing basically exposed every lie in the last 50 years about the United States of America. And look, man, I ain't got time to be sitting around. Y'all know my pastor. My pastor is the third person on the chat line. He don't preach hate, and and I'm gonna tell y'all this. I used to my closest cousin, God rest his soul, Vincent Lamont Williams. He used to call me Angry Man, because when you get me in a conversation like this, it was a whole bunch of MFs coming with that conversation. I've matured in my older age, but this right here, it pissed me off to no end, because guess what? My father landed in the ground because of stuff like this. I never met my father because of stuff like this. There's a bunch of my grandfather was been on his own since he was 9 years old. He had to leave his grandmother's house at 13 because of racism and hatred like this. So when I look at this, I look at the way they treat our sisters. I look at the way you asking these questions at Angela Davis, and I was infuriated, man. I'm not gonna lie. You I get on here and I try to do the politically correct, but the damn name says it all. The H-Rap name. I got the name because I was always talking radical stuff, and one of my coaches was like, "Relax, Rap Brown," and it stuck. So this infuriated me to no end. Think about all the times your mother, my mother, our aunts, our uncles, our grandparents had to endure this, and now you're gonna sit on TV. The dude, the Norquist dude, Grover Norquist. I'm just glad I never will meet that dude, because I might sock him in the face. And I'm not a violent person, but do not insult me and my and my community with a lie, and you lying on a documentary in which they're showing your lie to be a lie.
Right.
I don't have an issue with no people, man. Some of the best people I know: Patrick Fan, Michael Flint, Judy and John Kalis, Jeremy Kalis, and so the list is endless of people from of European descent that I have mad love for. Some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. But when you start going forward, you identify yourself as white, I'm gonna have a problem with you, because that's a weaponization of your culture, and I ain't having it no more.
Right on.
I ain't black and you ain't.
Ben, initial thoughts, and then I'm gonna get to some comments, and then I'm gonna get to some thoughts that H-Rap's comments have opened up for me. Ben.
Yeah. So for me, this is one of those where it's not surprising, but it's shocking at the same time. Like we know that this stuff goes on. I appreciated the history of it and the way Ava DuVernay goes about putting together this documentary. But it was disgusting. I mean,
the extent of it is what you're getting at. To the extent that is taking place is what's shocking. Right. That is taking place is not surprising. To the extent that is taking place is shocking.
Right, exactly. And you're hearing audio and video of people talking in the background. That's all like your parents, and I think the Bible says this, but whatever you do in the dark will come to the light eventually. No matter how much you try to hide it, no matter how much you try to prevent people from seeing it, whatever you do, that's in the dark or that's evil, that's got evil content, it will come out. And that was exactly what this was. And so I wasn't shocked. I wasn't necessarily mad, because this is who I'm not going to say everyone in general, but a large majority, this is what they think and this is how they act. So to me, it wasn't like a huge shock. I was upset during some moments, but I think this is another one of those where the color is being shown who you are and who you are, what you believe in and what you do. And I think that's what we've been seeing over these past 4 years too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and let me get to some of these comments, and then I'm going to talk about some things that H-Rap. I'm going to pose a question to the panel that H-Rap's thoughts kind of evoked in me. Pastor Dodd in the building. Good evening, gentlemen. Hey, I know the first Sunday done passed, but this Sunday we might have to do another communion for H-Rap, man, because it's going to be tough, Pastor. So just be bring the wine and crackers out. You might want to put a little cheese on them crackers too. CJ Ben, have you won any money? Obviously not, because he's on with us. I can answer that question. Keisha said, talk about a sweet thing. I love hearing my K-Rap give his initial thoughts. Wow. So one of the things I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to mention real quick what H-Rap is saying. And Pastor Dodd, this is why we really don't need to do a second communion this month. But what he's talking about is righteous indignation. Even Jesus himself had righteous indignation. That is simply anger at injustice. Okay, when he started turning over the tables in the temple, you have made my father's house a den of thieves. So righteous indignation is what H-Rap is talking about. So this is my question to the panel, and I want to start with our guest, with AJ. Again, this ain't your daddy's movie review. We'll get to Eric. Gonna give Ava DuVernay her flowers as a filmmaker, right? And how she put this together, and we're gonna give some thoughts on that. But again, this is about what reaction this causes in us. That's what this is about right now. So let me ask you this, Andre. How do we square the situation with whites, Caucasians, who are genuinely good people and have only good intentions toward us? How do we square that with them? In other words, some of the aspects when I think about this is our interactions with them, being able to identify them from the other folks. How do we square this whole situation? Because again, whether they know it or not, whether we know it or not, we have to be cognizant of our day-to-day movements, whether we like it or not. We just have to, right? And for us, it's second nature. So how do we square this with the quote unquote Caucasians who are genuinely good people?
Yeah, I was pondering the question as you were giving it out. I think the bottom line is, and I'll speak from my standpoint. I'm letting my friends and my adopted parents who are white know that we got to go deeper. We can't stay surface. This ain't a surface fight. It ain't a surface thing. And if you can't sit down and watch the 13th, if you can't watch and read some of these other true depiction of what's really going on, not what you don't want to believe, not what you heard, then it might be best for you to stay out of this part of it. Because now we need allies that's gonna get dirty. We need allies that's not gonna tell me what I should think, but we need allies that's gonna go to those people that's not listening to me because I don't look like them and I don't sound like them. I need you to go tell them what they should think. I need you to go tell them what they should do and be willing to make a invested choice based on their reactions. Because it's easy for them to put me out. It's easy for them to lock me up. It's easy for them to say that they don't want my business. But if I get locked up, are you going to sit around and say, well, I wish he hadn't done that? Or are you willing to say you locked him up unjustly? You put him out unjustly. You dealt with him unfairly. You got to go deeper. You can't stay uninvested in this part of it. Because as we said before, this has been codified into the Constitution. And you know, these people love their Constitution. And I keep saying it's their Constitution. It didn't come me.
It is.
They love their Constitution. So God dog it, if you're not going to bump up against other people that believe more in their Constitution than they believe in my black life and my children's black lives and my grandchildren's black lives, then you might need to sit this part of it out. We need real invested allies going forward.
As we say on the west side of Chicago, church.
Yeah, we can really sign off after that, as far as I'm concerned. Pastor Dodd say, I may need some myself, talking about that community, the second community.
I might go ahead later.
Passing around.
Man, how do we square this, man? You know, anything to add to that? Because I know AJ said a mouthful, man.
Yeah, he did, and he hit a lot of points. The thing is that white people just really gonna have to shut the fuck up and stop being scared. I mean, it's what it is.
Which is why they call it mayhem.
You gotta stop with the, oh man, I can't believe that happened. Why not? Because it's been happening. Like, it's not gonna stop until you step forward. White people, allies, you love our culture, but you don't want to love our situation that we somehow have found ourselves in on purpose through the hands of your ancestors. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you got to stop sitting on the bench. You got to stop.
Right.
I can't believe this is going. Oh, I want to come to your neighborhood and community and talk and speak at your church. No, you just want my vote. You just want my attention, but you're not really ready to do.
Hey, Ben, you remember when that used to take place all the time? How sickening that was, man. It made me feel dirty sitting in the choir stand watching.
You just here for my vote. You just here to see, like, oh, I was wrong in the past, but I understand now that I need. No, you don't. You need to rally all your white friends, and you need to have a serious conversation, because but guess what? It's lining your pocket, so you're not going to have a real conversation. You're not going to have, because you don't want to lose that money. You don't want to lose that seat you're running for.
But now let me just real quick, Mayhem, and piggyback on that. They'd rather lose us than lose those associations, than lose that money, than lose that income. And I refuse to be the thing that you lose, and you call yourself my friend, my ally, my son, my this, my that. I can't be the disposable income in every one of your equations. I can't.
Well, we've been losing since we got off the ship. But so it's one of those things where we had to take a bad situation through our ancestors and make it the best we could. We always turn a bad situation into something that benefited us as a people. So
we've been making lemonade for a long
Right,
time.
exactly.
Exactly.
That doesn't defy us. That's one of those things where, we say, "Oh, Black history started in America." No, Black history's always been going. Black history
Mhm.
has always been around.
200,000 years old.
Man, it's
Yeah.
always been around. So it didn't start when Eli Whitney made the cotton gin. That's not when it started. That's not when it
But
started.
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Maybe Black history did start in America, but African history didn't.
Right. Thank you. Exactly.
Long time
See,
ago.
yeah, CJ says they're always gonna show sympathy. They're always gonna say how messed up it is, but them actually stepping in and doing something, they would literally have to speak up against and this is a strong part right here.
No,
They would literally have to speak up against their fathers, their best friends, and honestly, they don't have the balls to let them know wrong is wrong.
Absolutely. No, he's 100%.
Yeah. And so by him saying that, in fact, there are those, and I believe Dr. King included, that says that those that are on the far right, who are making their thoughts known, making their prejudice known, making their racism known, he goes, that ain't the biggest threat. The biggest threat are those that are in the middle who likely don't have a problem with us, but are not speaking up against those who do. He goes, that is the biggest threat to American peace, right? Or getting this country to where it needs to be. Ben, you were about to say something while Mayhem was talking.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit. Two things. One, me and Wilkes or Mayhem both know someone that when we said Monday is are we off on Monday, and they said, oh, what's that? So part of the problem is you gotta learn. We done learned y'all history for long enough. We know ins and outs of our history. It's time to now learn. It's time to now learn our history and actually walk in action and figure out ways to. We're not saying you need to buy dashiki or something, but find ways to.
I just have to say this real quick because I think Ben may have heard me when I said it. I was like, so we off for Juneteenth? And they were like, oh, no, we're not. It was like, well, the next date is the 4th of July. I was like, but that's the white people holiday.
You did say that.
They kind of made the office a little uncomfortable, but that's okay.
You did say that. So
okay,
I think number one, it starts with being open to learning. Learn our culture, learn our history. Don't try to steal it. Don't try to capitalize on it. Don't try to make money on it. Learn our history so that you can actually partner. Because I will say this, there is a lot of Gen Zs or whatever the generation is below me that are white folks, that are white people, that are going and pushing charges and leading charges. So I think there is, to a degree, but their parents don't understand. And their parents surely don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to understand.
Yeah. During the Black Lives Matter, the initial part of that, you could see TikToks and some Twitter videos and whatnot, where some young white kids was schooling the hell out their mamas and daddies on some stuff. Schooling the hell out of them. And when the mamas and daddies couldn't go no more, they just sent them, get the fuck out of here. Send them to their room because they can't take it, man. It was getting schooled and they knew they were wrong. A-Trap, what you got, baby?
Okay, what y'all talking about is John Brown advocacy. John Brown gave up his life for this. So it's not like that. Look, again, this is why I'm gonna have to keep saying this, because not to you guys, because y'all know me, the people that will watch this eventually. This ain't an anti-white thing for H-Rap. No, it's not that. But what you have to do, ironically, even before we set up the schedule for this show, I did a show about this. I said that there are 3 stages to this. The first one is advocacy, education. You must educate yourself on the problems of our community, because if we are a nation, then everybody, the one thing about a nation, we have a common bond. If you have a common bond, then you fight for each other. You fight for each other. It was cool to fight for each other in the Revolutionary War. It was cool for us to fight in the Civil Wars. It was cool for us to fight with WW1 and 2. So it's going to be neat. Now we need y'all to come back and do this for us.
Right.
But you must educate yourself, right? And when you educate yourself, you become an advocate. And that advocate is what CJ talked about at Thanksgiving table. I'm sick of these niggas with this. Hey, granddaddy, uncle, mama, little brother, little sister, shut the hell up. You're being real disrespectful. Because, like, again, y'all know me. Y'all, and remember we first started doing this. I was Texas age, right? Remember? So when I speak about Texas, it's not no anti-Texan thing. Texas is a battleground state because the reason it's academically a battleground state because you guys print the books that my children read, and they're in the state of Texas right now trying to say involuntary movement. See,
which that's mentioned. That's mentioned in the 13th Amendment. Involuntary service.
Involuntary service. So when you put that in a book, what you've done is make it a reality. And when you make it a reality, you cultivated a lie. And when you cultivate a lie, it's hard for us to undo that. The third part is to be a broker. And this is what Will spoke about a second ago. Hey, man, don't be just looking out for me when I'm standing here. Look out for me tomorrow. Look out for me the next day. It's just kind of like with our women and our children. If you run up on AJ Jr., Erica, or any of y'all children, or any women in your family, like the queens, Dawk gonna beat your ass so bad that I ain't gotta kick the next 3 dudes' ass.
Right.
And that's how y'all have to fight for us, and not just the white community. The entire United States of America. This is not a white problem. The people who identify as white, you created this. But the human beings, the Europeans, the Germans, the Irish, the Europeans, the Africans, the Asians, the South Americans, Central American, and the rest of North America, it's up to us to fix it.
Right.
So I don't want to make this a white problem. I mean, a racial problem. It is a white identified problem, because if you identify yourself as white, you are the problem, because you're not. Because again, let's go back to Europe. Let's go back to South America. Let's go back to the Caribbean. Where are you from? United States. You're an American. You do not say you're white. You do not say you're black. And I've been looking at maps my whole life because I'm a history buff, and I ain't seen black or white yet.
Right.
So
thank you, Charles Darwin.
Exactly. Shout out to Will.
Hey, if you're on YouTube, I ask that you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. We are on Roku TV as well. You can search BS3 TV or watch on BS3TVlive.com. Very easy to get there. Let's get a couple of comments out and then we'll continue. CJ says, and here's another thing to think about. Honestly, they don't care because what benefits them for helping us? Great question. I guarantee you if white people could profit from helping us, they would be a lot more help. And some white people have definitely already done that. We also have DeMarcus, the greatest in the building, says, gentlemen, what's up, my man? Ray the Kev, so you guys taking calls. I don't think we're set up for that tonight. So we're gonna say nah. Text somebody. Yeah, we'll read it. So again, one of the things I like about this is that it continues to spark thought and conversation. I got an entire sheet of notes. I'm not necessarily going to them because, again, this was guides in case the conversation had a lull or something like that. It doesn't need it. So one of the things that I think Ben said that this shined a light, or he likes the fact that lights are being shined on this situation. Unfortunately, the light is still far too dim because, again, when this light is attempting to expose what is happened or what is happening, too many people still ignore it. So I don't know if this light can be light by itself. It needs to be a light with a 8-pound glove, associated with it of the nature, because just the light alone is far too dim. Okay, so this brings me to this cult of the lie. So we all are familiar with the rhetoric of birth of a nation. Black males were painted as a threat to white women, right? And I think A-Trap says you've told the lie so well.
Right.
Has that lie been told so well that still, how many years later, how many decades later, 50 years later, 60 years later, it is still having an effect on how we are received in the community. We have all, we have not had this conversation, but I can tell you right now, we have all been in a situation where we've been coming down the street and had a white woman grasp her purse, or we've been getting on an elevator and a white woman cower in the corner, or a white man cower in the corner. I've not had that conversation with them, but I know 100% for a fact that they've all experienced it, and likely on multiple occasions. All right, so let me ask
door when you walk past the car.
yeah, there you go. So again, we talk about again, Birth of a Nation and how the KKK was revitalized from this Birth of a Nation. Cross burning wasn't even a thing until from that KKK did until the Birth of a Nation came out. Right. So let me ask you that, AJ. This cultivation of a lie. Was it that effective? And is it still being cultivated? They still watering this motherfucker is what I'm asking.
Yeah, obviously, man. I mean, look at the fact that a man who had traffic violations, runs and gets shot at 90 times, gets hit 60 times, many of which while he was on the ground. A man can go into a grocery store, shoot and kill black people, and come out and be arrested alive. A man can go and shoot at a park during a parade and be arrested alive, and he ran. You have people who have fought the police.
And we're going to give you some water to drink and calm down while we're getting your squad car ready.
Let me take you to McDonald's, get your number 2.
After you killed 9 people in a church.
Right.
We are animals. We are a threat. We make white men who are trained with weaponry fear for their lives because of the perpetuation of that lie. They look at Chicago and they say those are black animals killing each other, even though it's not true.
Right.
But that's the perpetuation of that lie.
Right.
White women, still, he looked at me, he whistled at me, and a young black boy can be kidnapped, killed, and they still, watch this, they still are afraid to go and serve a warrant on the white woman that told the lie because she's too old now. And we don't want to mess up her life.
Yeah.
So has the lie been perpetuated? Hell yeah. That's a good lie, because that lie has gone on for a long time. And unfortunately, it's cost a lot of people that look like me, you, and everybody else on here their lives. And it was, well, they should have complied, and they shouldn't have run, and they shouldn't have done this. Well, I'm sorry, resisting arrest does not come with a death sentence.
Right.
That's strong right there. See, that's right there. Mayhem. You let that kind of comment just marinate right there, because it's so powerful and it speaks volume. Yeah. Resisting arrest shouldn't come with a death sentence. That need to be put on a t-shirt. It's so powerful for folks to look at it over and over and over again.
This shouldn't be the final say because you're about to arrest me or attempt to arrest me. So you're just gonna take me out anyway. So you're not gonna even try to treat me like a civil person. You don't even look at me as a civil person. Mm-hmm. You're not even trying to. So that's why it's one of those things where it's like white people have to stop the BS with, he was upset. He raised his voice. If white people get upset, somebody, watch out, because somebody's gonna
Karen.
Watch
Karen
out.
Or a Mary.
But a black person raised their voice. Arrest him, shoot him, kill him, put him down. He's gonna take all of us out.
Yeah, he's disturbing the peace now. A-Trap, what you got? Birth of a Nation, that lie you talked about cultivating.
Yeah, I mean, that lie has been cultivated. I mean, the funny thing is this. Who's one of the most wicked, historically, who we talk is one of the most wicked people that walked the face of the earth? Goes by a guy by the name of Adolf Hitler. But Adolf Hitler publicly stated that I learned everything I needed from the United States of America. When you read his book, Mein Kampf, it literally says, if you tell a lie loud enough and long enough, it becomes the truth. It's like jokingly, it's like George Costanza on Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld asked George, "Hey man, how did you get so good at lying?" And George said, "Jerry, if you believe it, it ain't a lie."
Right.
And that speaks volumes about the United States of America. If I tell this lie long enough, and if I believe it, it ain't a lie. You lying. Now prove it. Just you know what? It's just like anything else.
The burden of proof.
The burden of proof. You like I use it for a man in regards to stealing. I use it for a woman in regards to her reputation. If you say a man stole something, like I was way heavy at one point. It's a funny story. Kat said I stole his lunch at work. I literally had to threaten this dude's life. What? And my rep don't change because when you look at this big old black dude, you're going.
You think, yeah, it's possible. It's likely.
He might steal some food. And with women, all I got to do is say, I slept with her.
Right.
And her rep is popped.
Wow.
So if you tell a lie, you ain't got to be proved. You ain't really got to tell the truth. You just got to tell it.
Wow.
What did
that's what's happening with us.
What did they exterminate the brutes? Those that control history.
Yep. Exactly. That's how you control history. Like even Dawk, one of your favorite pastimes, relieving yourself with the herb.
Yeah.
That was only made illegal because they said Mexicans were making money and black people were using it.
Right.
That's the only reason it ain't freely used now.
Look at what they're trying to do to it now, and look who's on the books in prisons without a chance for parole because of something that they're legalizing across the country. And there's no consciousness that says if we're going to do this, we ought to alleviate that. There's no correlation with the money that they're about to make and the lives that are being incarcerated because of it.
And Mr. Jones just hit a point right there. Look at the money that they are making off of cannabis. Look how much money they are making off of marijuana, Mary Jane, Bin Laden, Bobby Brown, whatever you want to call it. Perp, whatever you want, Kush, whatever you want to call it. Sticky icky. Man,
that Afghan blend.
Man. Yeah, they're making a killing off of it. You got people behind bars just, not even enough to incarcerate somebody over. But then you want to have Law and Order president come along, Nixon. Then you want to have Reagan try to become the embodiment of that. Then you want Bush to come and the war on drugs. I want to continue that. Then it's like you got Clinton up here talking about, this is what we need to do about the war on drugs and 3 strike shit out. And I'm like, man, come on, man, stop. You're not even trying to get to the real source. You're not even trying to understand the real source.
They are the source.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like they're not even trying to, because like I said earlier, it's lining their pockets.
Right.
Exactly.
That is lining their pockets. I don't want to lose a chance on not getting reelected. I don't want to lose.
Let me go ahead and reset real quick. We have a radio professional, a legend, a veteran of the game in here in Mr. Andre Jones. And so I have to reset and let him know I know a little bit about what we're supposed to be doing. So we are doing the 13th review, the 13th documentary by Ava DuVernay. It came out in 2016. You can catch it on Netflix. We are just getting around to doing a review on it. So please join us in this review. Let us know what you think. And Pastor Dodd had a question here. He wanted us to explain more on the involuntary movement. So anybody have anything on that? Please feel free to go ahead and take it.
I'll take that. The involuntary movement, they're trying to whitewash things that make people from other cultures feel uncomfortable. Instead of taking responsibility for wrongdoings, you reword it and it takes away the ills of it. You take the venom out of it and then it's less poisonous. Slavery is a poisonous word. It also calls for reparation. We are the only culture when the Japanese were put in containment camps, they had to get reparations because they were damaged, so they need to be repaired. Right. So instead of offering us reparations, which is rightfully due to us, what they're trying to do is reword history and whitewash it and soft soap, and you have jackasses like Ben Carson standing behind it and saying involuntary workers and migrant workers, and now they even going as far, they saw that wouldn't work, so now it's involuntary movement instead of capture, dehumanized, and enslaved. Because when you say that, then you see that there is an inculcation of what is it called? It's trauma that comes along with that, and that trauma epigenetically is passed on. That's why people like, probably it's a very good reason for me being insanely claustrophobic, because I can tap right into being planked on my way over here, and that taps into my spirit, and that it is somebody in my family that was directly on one of those damn boats, and that's probably why I am insanely claustrophobic, because the people, somebody somewhere in my family, I can tap right into the fact that I was surrounded by people on my left, right, and set up under me like we were a bunch of damn flapjacks. So instead of identifying the problem, they're going to try to whitewash it and wish it away.
Right.
I was wondering why. So I visited here last year around Juneteenth. And I took him out on the boat, and I was wondering why it took him a minute to settle down, because he was real nervous for a little while.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why, but I guess you knew I wasn't trying to take you nowhere. Yeah, but AJ,
and
when I started playing that Frankie Beverly and Maze and Earth, Wind and Fire, he knew, oh, this gonna be a cool ride. Shit, we ain't going to.
I ain't got to jump out and swim back.
Yeah. So AJ, you got something?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So they're using involuntary movement with us during slavery. What's interesting is in Canada and in certain parts of the United States, they're using voluntary movement or displacement with the indigenous people. They're trying to make it seem like when the settlers came over, they voluntarily moved to reserves and preservation so that these white settlers could have their land. Again, rewriting history, whitewashing history so that they can feel good about themselves and not feel obligated to repair the damage that has been done for illegally, because you know they love that word when it comes to immigration. Illegally trafficking humans from the continent of Mother Africa and moving indigenous people off of their lands when they were kicked out of their native land.
Wow. So real quick, there's going to be one aspect of this documentary that I'm going to bring up that was a new thought to me that I want to get y'all's take on. And after we do that, we're going to talk about more about the fact that the 13th Amendment created this loophole, or provided this loophole for slavery to be replaced with prison labor. We're going to get a little bit more into that and a little bit more into statistics of just how outlandish the numbers are. But one of the things that I heard in this documentary was a new thought, something new that I hadn't heard that I want to get y'all's take on. And they said, if you think about the populace of certain communities that are known as traditionally Black, like Compton, Harlem, there were a few others, I just couldn't write fast enough to be able to take this down, that said that the reason why these people are in these areas is because they were refugees. He goes, these people, their ancestors in those cities, they're refugees trying to get out of the heavily KKK racist areas where they were like running for their lives, literally. So they didn't end up in these places by accident. So had y'all heard that before, and what were your thoughts when you did hear it, if not?
Oh yeah, I heard it before. Remember when we first started doing this, you cracked the joke. Just think about this. When we first started doing this show, you cracked the joke. You was like, H-Rap, you don't know nothing about this fool. And I said, hey, dog.
That's right.
I said, dog, Chicago ain't nothing but North Mississippi, North Alabama, North Arkansas. And I'll tell you those cities. Those cities were Los Angeles, Oakland, Chicago, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia, and New York, and then DC. Those were the cities they mentioned. So yeah. I knew about that, man.
Refugees.
Yeah, refugees, man. I mean, I don't have to go no further than my Williams part of my family, my daddy's family. My grandmother was accosted. My uncle Bunk, my uncle Willie smashed the dude, and they had to be on the first thing smoke to Chicago. And my grandfather, my father's father, leaving my mother, my grandmother in Tuskegee.
Ben, Mayhem, have y'all heard that about the refugee part and why these cities?
I haven't heard it to that extent, but as you say it, I mean, just think about it. When you were in the South and you were of slavery, they were taking you north to escape slavery.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. The Underground Railroad. It was one of them, or into Canada, whatever the case was, or into New York. But I haven't heard it to that extent. But I guess that makes sense now when you think back on it. I haven't heard it put like that. But yeah, that was new to me.
Yeah, it makes complete sense because that's where they were able to go to be free. So yeah, it makes complete sense. They had to go somewhere. So yeah, I get.
It's like, dang, I'm trying to get away from it, but you still won't let me be. Like, damn.
No, never that.
Okay, so some of the statistics. 5 world's population we cut right as African American.
Right.
But 25% of the world's prisoners are African American. That's staggering, right?
That's not right. The United States makes up 5% of the world's population.
Oh,
we
yeah,
make up 25% of the prison population worldwide.
In the world, that's correct. Not black or white, just America as a whole. So they say slavery was economics, right? 4 million workers at when slaves were made free, right? And during the Emancipation Proclamation, 4 million workers were basically given their freedom. They said that's how you got to look at this. 4 million workers were given their freedom. So how do you rebuild an economy that lost 4 million workers? And the answer to that is the 13th Amendment loophole that said everybody is free unless you are a criminal.
Right.
So as a result, they start imprisoning our people at a rate that it has its own term now, mass incarceration, right? At a rate that was incommensurate with other populations, with other races, right? For things such as simple as loitering. Do you understand that there are probably people who, our ancestors who probably spent their lives in prison for loitering because of what was going on back then.
Right.
Loitering, right? And so basically as a result, prisoners became free labor. So that is how they compensated for the loss of 4 million workers, right? Mass incarceration again in the 1970s, and they start using different terms for race instead of saying we can't allow these black people to do this or black people to do this, and they instituted what is now termed as dog whistle politics, where they start saying things such as law and order. Right, the law and order era came. It's this thinly veiled racial appeal, right? In fact, John Ehrlichman, who is a Nixon advisor, all but admitted. He said, we knew what the deal was. We knew this wasn't right. However, we needed to make this happen.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? How this whole thing jumped off?
Yeah, I want to.
Oh, go ahead, Ben.
No, go ahead, AJ.
No, I was just gonna say there's one name that I got to tell you. If the pastor's still on, I need him to pray for me because I hope J. Edgar Hoover is in a burning hell. I hope they are pulling the skin off his body, setting it on fire, and then putting it back on his body because just like he was talking about Norquist and some of the other folks, he knew, and he literally helped use the power of the governments.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, agency that it even said that he grew it to a place that it was never intended to be. and he started using things, watch this, predominantly against black people that should have been used against international criminals who literally were affecting the safety of the entire nation. He used those resources against black people and against most of our leaders who would have helped mobilize us and energize us and educate us as a group to not allow ourselves to be put in this situation. There's a lot of dead bodies because of decisions and actions that man made. So to answer your question, the fact that they came up with two different law systems. So if I got crack cocaine, I'm sentenced for a longer time than powder cocaine. Why? Crack is available to me. Powder is available to people who look like powder.
Wow.
Same thing with weapons charges. If I have a weapon and I go into a bank or an establishment and I rob it, and you got people that extort money or move money or do things, white collar crime, they get far less softer time than I walk into a neighborhood corner store and I point a gun at somebody and I get $25, I get 25 years.
Right.
Yeah. And in softer institutions they get as well. Not only less time, but in softer institutions.
So just to answer your question, man, I want to make sure, again, Pastor, pray for me. My name is Andre Jones. Pray for me. My son is good right now on this, but I hope he is in a burning hell. I hope Satan himself is boning him nightly. I do. Excuse me. I'm just being real with it. I'm just being real. That man was the devil incarnate, and he precipitated a lot of those things that we're still dealing with to this day, because like you said, they picked up the terminology, and a lot of times the Republicans steered, and we all know that the Republican Party switched from the Dixie Democrats, and it switched to what it is today.
Yep.
We know that a lot of them steer our candidates or Democratic candidates, because I'm an independent, Democratic candidates into a place where they've got to make those kind of statements. They've got to vote on those kind of things. Or they can say, this person was soft on crime. This person is okay with attacking your neighborhood. This person is okay with your businesses being burned down and robbed and what have you. So now you've got good, well-meaning people who are stuck in situations that was right where the chess player wanted you to go.
Right. Yeah, and what he's saying, so that's what Bill Clinton was painted into that. And they said in this documentary, one of the commentators, he finally figured out that in order for us to start winning and take back the White House, we got to be tougher on law and order or have that stance. And they came out, and at the end of the day, I'm with Mr. Jones. I'm an independent. At the end of the day, the Democrats have done far more, in my estimation, to hurt us in this prison game than the Republicans ever could have done, right? With this whole, go ahead, H-Rap.
Just to affirm what you just said, do you know William Jefferson Clinton, y'all commonly know him as Bill Clinton, incarcerated more black people than were on slave ships?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
He's come out later, and he came out later when his wife was running and saying that was a mistake.
Too little, too late.
But what does that do?
Too little, too late.
You can't go back and get them brothers their lives back.
Right.
You can't go back.
I don't even want you to say that.
Yeah. To AJ's point, 1 ounce of crack was equitable to 100 ounces of cocaine. The sentences were exactly the same. 1 ounce of crack, 100 ounces of cocaine. The sentences were exactly the same.
Right.
And then watch this, the strike situation. 3 strikes, and they've got to give you the maximum. Right. So the judges that are appointed by these people who have these agendas, well, guess what they'll do with their nephews and their nieces and their brothers and their cousins? Well, we just gonna dismiss those charges. So guess what? Now you don't get a strike for doing worse than I did, and I'm gonna catch a strike for doing something that in most cases is minimal.
Right.
In most cases, it's minimal. So now I'm in the system. Now I'm the free labor because I'm in the system. Now I'm building your roads. Now I'm building. Now I'm making your dresses. Now I'm making your things for nothing.
Yeah, and on top of that, mandatory sentencing, which took discretion away from judges who may have thought, well, you know what, that's a little minor or whatever. They had mandatory sentences. So I got to give you these 25 years. I got to give you these 50 years because this crime has mandatory sentencing. So they said truth in sentencing virtually down did away with parole as well. So now these mandatory sentences, now you got these life without the possibility of parole sentences.
Yeah, wow.
So now parole boards start losing their ability to be able to do what they need to do. The latest trend, the privatization of parole boards and probation facilities. So that's where the money is going to go. Now they're going to say, we need to reform this thing.
Right.
We need to put some more of these people out. Now these drugs charges, we were legalizing these drugs, and we need to get them, we need to turn them loose. We need to put them on parole or probation and make sure they're good. But we're going to privatize the parole, and so we can make money on that.
Right.
And we're going to make money on the ankle monitoring.
Yeah. One I wanted to touch on was that one of the terms that they used was a super predator. And that term to me is disgusting. But if you think of white people with that racist mentality, that is a super predator. If you hang a human being and take a photo in front of it, you're a super
There you go.
Let me add to Ben.
To me, I'm real quick. I'm gonna say this. I'm tired of the savage, you're savages and you're animals. To do that to a human being, to drag a human being, to drag a kid, like you're the predator, you're the super predator, you're the savage, you're all of those things that you said that we are. You just don't want to admit it and look in the mirror and say it.
Right. And just like Ben was saying, this right there, like how it's like, here's the other thing. And I'm gonna tie this to another thing real quick. So we live in a world in that era where white men with pickup trucks, and I'm talking like the early 1900s, the 20s, and you know, even around the 50s and 60s. But my point is, you literally live in a world that won't protect a black person because a white man and his gang of friends can pull up to your front yard and drag you out of your house in the middle of the night and do whatever they want, hang you, kill you, burn you. But yet black men are super predators. We literally have a world that we live in where we literally live in a world where we have to tell women, our daughters, you be careful, pay attention where you walk, pay attention to your surroundings. Find the exit. If you go to a party, pay attention to your drink. We literally have white men that will go to parties and deliberately have their way with other men, other women, with no problem. And you want to call black people,
adopt Asian children and marry them,
right?
Oh, my bad.
Oh no, you good? But then you want to talk about super predators? Really, Hillary Clinton? Really, that's what we're doing? Oh, but you know what? Like I said, they got to line your pockets. You have to talk about that justice reform. You've got to stand up for that. And you're going to talk about super predators? Really?
For those viewers who have not watched the documentary 13th on Netflix by Ava DuVernay, let me give you some statistics. In 1970, the U.S. prison population was 357,000. In 1980, it rose to 513,000. 5 years later, in 1985, it had raised to 759,000. 5 years later, in 1990, it had raised to 1.1 million. 10 years later, in 2000, it had raised to 2 million, almost doubling in 10 years. Approximately 45% African-American population in the prisons. In 2014, the latest numbers they discussed that I saw was 2.3 million African Americans in prison.
That number going up,
Staggering numbers.
yeah, was shocking. It
Thank
just
you,
keeps
Three
going
Strikes,
up.
you're out. Thank you,
Well,
War on Drugs.
I'm glad you said that war on drugs thing. To show you how fictional the war on drugs is. 1979, the amount of the population that was using drugs in the United States of America was 9.3%. In 2013, it was 9.6%. Who are you warring against?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a war against 10% of the population, less than 10% of the population.
I was gonna say less than 10%. What
Yeah.
did they say in
And
what did they say straight out of Compton? We don't have airplanes, so who
Right.
flying the drugs in?
Right.
Exactly.
wow.
And,
So
and
check
they
this out.
use the term war. They use the term war because people could get behind that. Because you're in a war, you're in
Yeah.
a war with another country.
Right.
People get
Oh, yeah.
behind it. That's the reason why they use that particular word.
But you can be as violent as you want to be as well.
That's exactly where I was going, AJ. You're 100% right.
Right.
And so one of those statements that was made in this documentary that made me shudder, he goes, if the war on drugs was a war on the Black community, which I think we're all in agreement that it was, wouldn't our community be considered war-torn? Nobody said that. This is what my thought, right, from watching and hearing what they said.
Yeah.
So if the war on drug was a war on the Black community, which I think we're all in agreement that it is, wouldn't our community be considered war-torn and still during our rebuilding phase?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's the basis of the reparations conversation.
So sometimes our community, sometimes we are hard on each other, right? We are too hard on each other for whatever reason, whether that be the way we dress, the way we celebrate, the way we unwind, okay? The decisions that we make. In essence, there was a war on our community, a war waged on our community, and we are still rebuilding. How do nations rebuild after war, after an attack that in essence has ceased to stop, right? There's this counter that I see every now and then on social media, how many days in a row the war in Ukraine has taken place. Well, if you got a counter on the Black community, how many thousands of days? Hello?
500 years. Pope
It's
Marcus.
It's still
Pope
taking.
Marcus in 1520 said, slavery is cool. It's been on since.
Right. Drop the gauntlet.
We mentioned J. Edgar Hoover, which we've done in this particular on the Fourcast and so many of the reviews. J. Edgar Hoover has continued to rear his ugly head time and time again. And somebody said in this, you cannot tell the story of Black leadership. And I'm going to go ahead and say a step further. You can't tell the story of Black turmoil, of Black racism, of Black whatever, without mentioning the name J. Edgar Hoover. He is forever intertwined into every aspect of our story because what he has done has so negatively impacted our community.
But he did wear a nice dress.
Glad you mentioned.
Yeah.
The most jealous person of Black people, the most jealous, could not stand any type of organization. Couldn't stand it. And we've seen that in so many communities that we've done. The same thing. Everything.
Yeah, because they were literally pulling the scabs off of what America has tried to dangle in front of them. They these leaders that rose up, that crop up, we have to chop them down like weeds because they're starting to connect. If I can send a word to HRAP and HRAP send it to 3 more people, and if those 3 people reach out, just like they say when you go vote, get a van, get a car, get 3 people to go vote. If I can get 2 people to listen to this speech of marching and pushing back against the machine, and we do it to a point where we don't have to be tearing up our own neighborhood. We don't have to show that, oh no, we're not doing it violent. We doing, hey, you do it militant, we gonna do it militant. But you don't like it when we do it militant because you're scared now. Now you're running and you got to stop it because we finna pull the scabs off all this. We finna bring people together. Go ahead, H-Rap.
I got a question. What does it say about the United States of America that in every major city in the country, there's a J. Edgar Hoover building?
Yeah.
Knowing what we know.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
Oh,
You talk about knocking down them damn statues. They just hired this brother,
Right.
to knock down Confederate statues.
Yeah.
Right.
You got builders less than 40 years old with that man's name on.
But see, they don't see J. Edgar Hoover as a bad guy though. They don't see him like they see Stonewall Jackson and all these other cats. They don't see him like that. Freeman's in the building.
Those are privately funded.
Yeah, no doubt.
Those statues are private. Those are residual effects of the Daughters of Confederacy.
Right on.
That's privately funded.
Right on.
We pay for these buildings.
That's right. Freeman said, "What up, fellas? This is Freeman." He goes on to say, "War-torn countries are usually paid reparations." Pastor Dodd said something that is very strong, which is why I will always say we all need therapy. We all need therapy. Should not be a bad word in our community. We need therapy, and he put it plainly: PTSD, 100%. We got Big Illinois in the building. He says, "Great discussion, fellas. We appreciate you." Theodora Harper says, "Wow." And Mika gave AJ some love. She goes, "AJ, if you're gonna preach." So a couple of things. So we had talked about. Well, first of all, let me just read this comment in the words of the great Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "For years now, I've heard the word wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with piercing familiarity. This wait has almost meant never. We must come to see one of our distinguished jurors that justice too long delayed is justice denied." And as soon as I heard that, I said to myself, maybe we were hearing wait, WEIGHT, and not wait, WAIT, because we've been getting the hell out of the WAIGHT and ain't getting none of the WAIT.
Right. Right.
So we talked. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, like we said earlier, it's like, okay, if our voice is not working to the point, we just really need some of these white people to get up, get dirty, like Mr. Jones said, and get to the root of it. Man, I don't want you to apologize. I'm not even asking you to apologize. Damn that.
Right.
We passed that point. Fuck that shit.
Right.
I don't give a shit about that.
Right.
But I do need you to know that it exists.
Mayhem, they'll go as far as to tell me how I'm supposed to react to being black. And I'm just saying, and I want to say so bad, and I try to be respectful. Some of them days are getting thin. When have you ever been black? How can you
trying to tell me how to be black?
To respond to being black and to being discriminated against and to being, hated because of the color of my skin. Watch this. And it's not just the color of our skin, it's our intellect, it's our talent, it's our gift. All of them hate that, man. J. Edgar Hoover was good at what he did, but he wasn't good at everything. And many of us are good at everything we put our mind to. And people hate that. And when they could not control us on the plantations, when they could not keep us in slavery, they found another way not to carry that L. And when you talk about perpetuation of lies and what have you, man, there are people that carry that seed. They are people that carry that hate. There are people that look at us today and will go out of their way to put laws in place, to put redlining in place, to put financial, whatever they can do to keep you where they want you to be or stop you from getting where they won't go themselves. That's what they will try to do, man. And before we go, please tell me we're going to talk about the American, let me make sure I got it right, American Legislative
Alec.
Their name came up recently. Look at what they were talked about doing in the movie. In 2022, they are now giving local and state government language to write laws and things like that to regulate not just Roe v. Wade, but voter integrity, which is the phrase that they're using. And most of those things include less rights for us to vote, less ways for us to vote, less opportunities for us to vote. And that's still coming from Alec to this day.
Are they trying to implement the district voting as well? I think HRAP, when you're talking.
Yeah, what Alec is trying to do is redistricting, gerrymandering, right?
Yes. Okay.
Gerrymandering is wherever you live, there's a certain amount of people. And that's how you create a district. And that's how you get representation in the House of Representation. What they're doing is, because we've been disenfranchised and discouraged in regards to the voting process and the civil process, what they want to do is, instead of having a total count of a population, they want to count the registered voters, because they know that their people believe in the system more than our people and other disenfranchised communities. So since we register, what we'll do is go register to vote, and then we can create districts in regards to registered voters. We will always have the control. And then it goes right into this one lie that we are the minority. We are not the minority, because people of European descent, like I told you, I'm gonna use this white thing as a weapon going forward. People of European descent don't count themselves as white, for one. And what they do is count themselves as their own personal tribe. Germans identify as Germans. Italians identify as Italians.
Right.
If we use their methodology, we are the majority. We are for one, we're the global majority. And in America, it is 45 to 60 million Black people. There's only, like, I keep using Germans just because that's just a country that's on my mind, I guess. It's only 58 million people in Germany, period. So how the hell could it be more Germans in America? It's only 11 million people in Ireland. So how could we be the minority in America where it is 45 to 60 million people, because we don't fill out the census here in the United States of America that looks like us? And that's not people from the Caribbean. That's not people from South America and Africa. That's 45 to 60 million people in America that are descendants of people who were enslaved. So that's why they want to change that, because then it is minority rule. What they always tell us the majority rule, but it's a minority rule at that point, because Greeks don't identify as white.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at what they did with the language in Pennsylvania, which is a swing state. It helped decide this recent election that they had. They literally, with gerrymandering, are trying to create a supermajority in their state legislature, where they overrule the votes and the power of a Democratic governor, and they can decide to overturn elections that they don't like the outcome in, because they have a supermajority. And if they do that in swing states like Pennsylvania, like Wisconsin, like Arizona, places like, then guess what? We don't have another 2020.
Right.
Yeah. So let me so we mentioned ALEC, but just for the viewers who may not know exactly who that is. So ALEC, ALEC, stands for the American Legislative Exchange Council. They are a group of businesses. It's an organization who is supported by a group of businesses who are members of ALEC. Organizations such as Walmart was a part of them. Y'all help me with some of the other corporations. I think Chase was a part of them. And some AT&T, Verizon.
Airmac was on there, I believe.
Airmac was on there, right? So these corporations were part of this organization called ALEC, and ALEC would write laws and submit laws to senators for to be able to sponsor and propose to the Congress and the Senate. Okay, so basically, what I'm saying is they would write the laws. They would write the entire bill, and all you had to do is insert state here. All you got to do is just fill in the blanks of the piece that applies to you specifically. So as a senator who is, again, you telling me I don't have to do no work, and yet I can get credit for bill submission. And so therefore, when I'm up for re-election, I can say I propose 13 new bills.
Right.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So all I got to do is put my state's name in it and my name. Well, some senators were so dumb, they forgot to take the ALEC logo off the bill. So when they were asked, did you write this bill? Yeah, I wrote this bill. You sure ALEC didn't write this bill? Sir, I'm a United States senator. I graduated from the university. Of course I wrote this bill. Well, it's funny because I see a logo right here that looks just like ALEC. It's in the exact same font, And the bill is word for word what's on their website. You know what I'm saying?
Calling a
So
lie.
that is what ALEC is. And ALEC proposed such bills so you can know the power of
Right.
this organization, such bills as stand your ground law, okay, the privatization of prisons. These are some bills that they have legislated, and most of the bills that they write and give to senators to propose directly benefit the organizations that support, the businesses, organizations that support and are members of their organization.
Right.
Now, recently, this has all come to light. I would imagine some of it had to do with the research that Ava DuVernay and her staff did for this documentary. Such corporations like Walmart said, "Oh, we're out." Now that they know about it, shit, we out.
Yeah.
So corporations have been dropping out, and their legislation has changed. That they're proposing has changed
There it
to
is. That's that
benefit
money.
the organizations that are left behind.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
So that's who ALEC is. And if you do nothing else but watch this documentary to understand that,
Right.
that's worthy of a documentary itself.
Right.
Because they're still active.
They just made it legal. The Supreme Court just proved the ALEC bill that made it legal for police not to read you your rights.
Oh yeah, you don't have any. What do they call it?
They don't have to read your rights anymore.
You don't get a free pass. You don't drop nothing.
Wow. Wow. Well, gentlemen, this has been a good one. We got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to go around the horn and give our final thoughts on this. And we're going to start with Mayhem in the building. Give us your final thoughts, sir.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, at the same time, go ahead and give us your final thoughts and give us your rating as well on the documentary as a whole.
Gotcha.
1 to 5 mics, 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. Final thoughts and your rating, sir.
Yeah, watching it a second time, it really did kind of open my eyes more because when I was growing up in the 80s and through the 90s, that war on drugs was really a big deal. And
just say no, man.
And just say no. All of that right
there. Your brain on drugs.
We trying to make it look like such a humble war, and but on the other side of that, you really just you trying your best to wipe out the black community as much as possible without even an explanation, really. Just flooded with crack, and that's it. So it's like, wow, the balls. But I thought it was a good documentary. I thought it was done pretty well because, like I said, I've watched it before, but then watching it the second time, there was some things, especially today after what election we've gone through with Trump and what are we in now. It's kind of like some of that from the documentary still resonates today.
No doubt.
Some of the things that we've reviewed, actually, like the Central Park 5 was mentioned in there. So it was done well. I'd have to give it probably 4.5 mics.
See, some of the imagery that they had where they was playing the video of what Trump was saying, and then it happening back in the 1960s, and it's like it's almost like he was looking at the video to say, back in the day, if somebody would have did that, we'd have did this. They got a video of that happening back in 1960.
Well, see, it's funny you say that because A-Trap might remember this when the Black Eagle was talking about that at the moment. He pretty much his campaign is structured around Richard Nixon. It is a lot of the stuff that Trump was saying, Nixon and Reagan, the party of Reagan, as they say, it was very, very widely structured around some of the speeches that Nixon and Reagan gave. So I definitely see that. And when I see those pictures, those imageries, and as you say, as they're lining those words up together and they're syncing that, it's just like, we know exactly what you mean, man. Come on, man. We know it. Stop and frisk and all that. Come on, man. Like, we know what's going on.
A-Trap, final thoughts and your rating, sir.
Well, to piggyback off what Will just said, people don't understand that "Make America Great Again" is a Ronald Reagan slogan.
Yep,
it's not a Donald Trump original. That's a Ronald Reagan slogan.
That's right. No doubt.
I watched this when it first came out because this is my wheelhouse. I really enjoy stuff like this, and I traditionally don't let it trigger me, but this triggered the hell out of me. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it 5. This shows why it forced me going forward to stop looking at things, and going forward I will watch. Because first time I just looked at it and said, I knew that.
Yeah.
But when you watch, it's kind of like hearing and listening.
Yeah.
When you watch versus look at, you get a totally different effect.
Yeah.
Right on.
I watched the first time. I looked at it the first time. Going forward, I'll watch. So I'm gonna give it a 5 because of that.
It's kind of like it's kind of like when white people say, "Oh, I have black friends." No, you know black people. You don't have black friends.
Right. Because if you had black friends, you would care about them. You know, you
have a black neighbor that you talk to once a week.
Right. Are they your friend though?
And give a Miller genuine draft too.
Right.
Yes. I would drink
that shit out of here.
Yeah, that's cold cat.
Man.
But I'm gonna give it a 5. And it really rearranged how I'm gonna look at things going forward. Because I cheated myself the first time, and
Love it.
I still hate Charles Wrangle. I just had to put that out there.
Benjamin, the guy who put the BS in BS3.
Yeah. Appreciate you. First thing I'm gonna say is, Louis Gates was in this, and H-Rap didn't roast him. First of all, I gotta say that part.
No need. I gotta say that. It's the thing we say in Chicago: things that are understood don't need to be explained.
You was like, man, he must have fell asleep on that part.
No, I saw that sucker. Your man Charles Frank.
The second thing I'm gonna say is Wilkes didn't say this was effing trash, so we on a good track.
We're on a good track.
And then I'll say this was a great documentary by Ava DuVernay. So I think her quality of work is top notch when it comes to documentary, and she definitely did her thing with this. Again, I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. I'm not shocked. It's one of those things where you watch it, you know the ending, you know what happened, but to get the breakdown on what happened and to see this the stupidity of people that come on and say something, and immediately after that it's debunked or it's proven wrong. To me, that part was hilarious because that makes them look stupid, and they basically just offer it up because they're lying. So I'll give it a 5. I'm not gonna give it 5. I think 5 that's upper echelon when it comes to the forecast. So I'm not gonna give it that 5 rating, but I'll say 4.5. Sure.
All right. Appreciate you. And to our guest, the radio legend, Andre AJ Jones. Final thoughts and ratings, sir.
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, I'm like A-Trap that it got me the first time, but it triggered me this time. I think one of the reasons why it triggered me was because the fact that it's still ever present today. It's a 4-year-old movie. And I'm sorry, 2016, so 6-year-old movie.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
And it's even more prevalent today. Like I feel like I've been asleep for 6 years, and now I'm having to hurry up and wake up and see.
Right.
This house is on fire. Like I got to do something about it. Right. I can't just sit here and get distracted. I'll put it in this term. I was determined to watch Black Panther as many times as I could to support that movie because of what it represented. And it was fictional. If I'm not studying this documentary and using it to develop a strategy for my family, for my culture, for my community, then that means I want to live in a fantasy.
It's a real
I want to live with something that ain't gonna ever be real, but I'm going to deny and just kind of watch a movie, a documentary about what's happening to me every single day. That's what I'm gonna leave behind for my children. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Wow. And I'll close with this. The fact that Trump is even an option in 2024 tells me everything I need to know. People a lot of times say that that's not who we are. We're the greatest nation of all. If you don't like it, leave. No, this is who you are. This is what you want. You want him because this is your strategy. This is what you put in place to get. Right. Now you really feel like you don't have to be politically correct. You don't have to watch what you say. You don't have to watch what you do. You can be justified shooting at a black man 90 times, hitting him 60. You can be justified killing a man on national TV. You can justify getting in your truck out of the safety of your own home and chase a young black boy down because he might have stole something. So no. I can't love a superhero more than I love the truth. Because from what I was told, I said I was gonna close. Look, there's a scripture that says,
you're a pastor. You gotta have 2 or 3 closes. We know.
Getting ready to close.
I got white pastors who often tell me when I get worked up about race, they go to 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people will call by my name, would humble themselves and pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear from heaven and heal their land. I had to come to an understanding that they were using that to control me. They were using that to calm me down. The devil is a lie and his mother-in-law. I'm finna raise up. I'm finna sound off. I'm finna use every platform I have to call out this nonsense that has been perpetrated since long before they were born. The stuff that they want to deny, I gotta call out. It's not wokeism, it's realism.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Five Mike. And AJ is, of course, representing the Grambling State University. He is always representing HBCU with his T-shirt game. So he's got the Grambling on there today. And you said a mouthful, sir. And talking about people who want to live in this fantasy world, it is a coping mechanism for some folks. Because guess what, man? There are some people, this is too much for them.
They don't want to wake up.
This is too much for them, man. It's overwhelming. I'm willing to bet there was somebody who watched today who cut this off because it was too much. And if you get this kind of knowledge in you, it's hard to get it and just sit with it and play like it didn't exist. That's hard to do, man. You know, so some people, it is a coping mechanism.
What did the word of God say? When I was a child, I spoke as a child.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Man.
So in my closing, I'm going to use Newt Gingrich, who used to be one of the most hated white folks in the black community. And this cat said, he said in this documentary, the objective reality is there's not a single white person who can understand the challenge of being black in America. Guess what? I got news for you. At this point, Newt Gingrich is probably not trying to get anything anymore. He done got whatever it is he gonna get, so he can afford to tell the truth now because it ain't hitting his pocketbook. And he said a mouthful when he says there's not a single white person who can understand the challenge of being black in America.
Well, he said, shut your white mouth.
He said a mouthful. And let me just say this again, there's a lot of aspects of this documentary that we didn't get into. There's a lot of meat that is still there. And I would definitely suggest that you get on Netflix and you watch this. For me, my mic rating is a 5. As being said, we don't give out 5s carelessly here. And unless they're deserved. And I think this is well deserved. We didn't get much into the mechanics of this documentary, right? And the reason why is because we were so flooded with the knowledge of this documentary that it was pouring onto us, right? So we couldn't get into the mechanics of it. And at the end of the day, if it's a documentary, isn't that what's most important? The information?
The information, yeah.
Right. So I got to give it 5 mics. And again, the end of my final thoughts and my real final close, like Pastor Jones, follow the fucking money. And I'm embarrassed by this country.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Follow the fucking money. And I'm embarrassed by this country. Next week, we review Antebellum. With what's the girl's name? Somebody I said it earlier today. Janelle Monáe. So I've already got a good start on my beauty of the week. I couldn't have no beauty. Newt Gingrich was my beauty of the week this week. Not
even the woman at the end with the feathers.
Angela Davis probably would have got it, but you know, I wasn't in a state of mind to be giving nobody no damn beauty of the week. Real beauties of the week around here wasn't getting no love from me, shit. But Antebellum next week. So if you hadn't watched that, check that out so you can review it with us. We want to thank Andre Jones for joining us every time he drops major knowledge, man. As Mika said, strong conversation. And as Raider KF says, guys, thanks. Share the show. He'll share the show. But hey, man, we appreciate you for being on. We'll have you on again. Any movie suggestions, let us know. We appreciate you coming on and whatnot. And H-Rap, do your thing, home, and close us out.
As usual, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And as I say every week, salute to Reggie O'Shea by saying, dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white, and life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. And y'all know if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
AJ, hang on, but don't take off, okay?
Okay.
We'll see y'all, man.
Peace.
All right.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.